you're happy within. Money could never bring you happiness. Money brings you growth. Money brings you wealth. But money could never, ever in this life bring you happiness.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. This is Monday, 30th September 2024, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure coming to you wherever you are this morning, whether you're puttering around in your garden, making your morning coffee, or getting yourself ready for work this morning. It's always a pleasure, and we thank you so much for choosing us and making us your number one choice for morning show here in Tobago. We have a beautiful show lined up for you this morning, and of course we have some feel-good moments that we want to share with you this morning. But before we get into all of that, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, September 30th, 2024. Finance Minister Colin Burt will deliver the National 2025 budget today ahead of next year's general election. While pre-election budgets often include incentives, many stakeholders expect this year's budget to be more cautious due to challenges in the energy sector. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has indicated that citizens will need to endure economic difficulties until 2027 due to uncertainties in energy production. However, given the financial constraint and declining energy returns, the budget may include adjustments to utility bills such as increased electricity rates, as well as discussions on property tax and incentives for the manufacturing sector. Up next, associations representing Trinidad and Tobago's protective services hope for sufficient allocation to the national security in the budget today to address ongoing challenges. Since 2015, the national security budget decreased significantly but increased in 2021. The TTPS Social Welfare Association head, acting ASP Gideon Dickens, emphasized the need for sufficient resources for police, noting their crucial role amid rising crime. Prison Officer Association President challenges in resources and working conditions. And finally, CARICOM Youth Ambassador Luke James Trim stated that Tobago has faced continuous financial underfunding. James Trim called for an urgent review of the budget allocation formula. While the THA is requesting 5.8% of the projected national budget for fiscal 2024-2025 to address historical underfunding, despite recommendations for Tobago to receive 4.03 to 6.9%, its average allocation has been just 4.3%, even as its population share has grown. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Biana, for the news there in 90 seconds. And of course, it's budget day here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we wait with anticipation to see, of course, very, very interesting to see Tobago's share of the pie, as it were. Of course, we've been calling for more, and we're really hoping that the calls will be answered. Because as in the news, as reported there by Luke Trim, of course, we are increasing in numbers and demands and requirements here on the island of Tobago. And we want to, capitalize on that and get what is required to ensure our development is in that place where we want it to be. We're crying out for so many different things.
Yes.
And so money answers all things, right? Even the good book says that.
Yes.
And so we need the financial injection on the island of Tobago to ensure that we can do the things that we need to do here on the island for each and every one of us. Yes. What are you looking forward to most, Biana, from the budget? Have you had a chance to think about it?
Well, as how the economy is going, and as the Prime Minister would have said, we have to brace for certain things until 2027. I believe, as you know, how our belt was already tightened, we have to put it on loop number 4, so it will be even tighter this rounds.
I know, and we're hoping not to, but we have to face the reality when it comes. So we look to see what is presented today in the national budget. Yes. But I want to go to a feel-good moment this morning. Biana, over the weekend. What happened over the weekend?
A lot happened, Adana, a lot. But last night was really, really interesting. TKR.
That's right.
TKR. And Nikki P, well done. Well done.
And his number one fan, Keisha, of course. Yes. And I saw that video on social media circulating over the weekend, and she got the opportunity to meet him. Yes. And it was almost tear-jerking for me because I'm thinking that there are so many beautiful moments that take place in our lives. And just at 4 years old.
And she's so brave.
And she's so well presented and well put together, a little lady, and it really, really touched me. And I'm so happy she was able to meet him and to see him live in action as well. That was my weekend cap off there. I really, really enjoyed that. Outside of that, I went to the beach yesterday. Our church had their family day on the beach yesterday, Love Feast, we call it, KMII, that's Victory Outreach Church, and all the other churches affiliated with Victory. We had a day on the beach yesterday. It was really, really amazing, and I want to say thank you to the pastoral team, the ministerial team of VOC and KMII for, coming up with that concept where we could come together and just, be laid back and enjoy each other's company. The food was good.
How was the heat, Adana?
The heat was on, yes, but because we were having such an amazing time, nobody really thought about the heat, and there was enough for us to remain well hydrated. So I thank God for that. Nice. All right, Biana, so I do hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead this week.
Same to you.
So it's Monday morning, and you might be wondering what's in my cup. What's in my cup is sponsored by LCJ Delights. This morning I'm drinking Fever Grass tea. Yes, they make all types of teas for your breakfast. They also make porridges, and they provide flour for your waffles, pancakes, and all other breakfast type ingredients. So you want to get onto them there so you can get your share of what's in my cup. Yes. All right, you might be wondering this morning who is celebrating. We have to celebrate with the birthday celebrants. So we shall celebrate this morning, and we head on over to our birthday shout-outs. All right, and this morning we start off by celebrating the lovely Valine Smith, a belated birthday. We say happy birthday to you, Valine. We do hope that you had a wonderful birthday, and we pray God's blessings upon your life. We pray that as you continue in this new chapter of your life, that you have beautiful experiences. Next up, it is Garvey. Garvey is celebrating a birthday today, and the wishes are coming from happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Garvey. May you live to see many, many more, and it's coming from your lovely mom, Leslie Ann Ellis, saying happy birthday to you, Garvey, Sandy. And of course, we too here at Tobago Update join in with saying happy birthday to you. We do hope you have a wonderful birthday today. Next, it's Orly Davidson. Orly is also celebrating a birthday today, and Orly, we want to say happy birthday to you. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday today. God bless you, and happy birthday to you. This is a belated birthday. Trixie Brebner. Trixie celebrated yesterday, and so we want to say happy belated birthday to you, Trixie. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Trixie is a school teacher, and I remember Trixie as a young person, and she celebrated 17 years in teaching, and I can't even believe that she got to there already. So for Trixie, it's a double celebration, so we want to say happy birthday and congratulations to you as well. Also celebrating is Joanne Roberts. Joanne Roberts celebrated her birthday yesterday, and we want to say happy belated birthday to you, Joanne. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we do hope that you have a wonderful and amazing birthday today. We hope that all of your friends, your family, and your staff, your co-workers, we hope they come out today to show you that level of support, and wishing you a very, very happy birthday to you. And of course, all of you who are celebrating a birthday, even though we don't have your photographs, we want to say happy birthday to you as well. And we remind you to put God first and give God thanks for life. For no man can give life unto himself, except God gives it unto him. So remember to give him thanks for life. And in life, there's also passing, there's also death. And we want to share condolences this morning to the family of Amelia White Frank. She passed. And so we want to say condolences to you guys, and by extension, the staff of Dens Electronics. The funeral service will be announced at a later date, but we want to express our condolences to you and to lend you our support. So who are we speaking with this Monday morning, this budget day morning here in studio? Well, I can confirm that we are speaking with Councillor Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy, a fitting person, of course, to have this conversation this morning. We're speaking about the critical financial issues affecting the Tobago House of Assembly and the THA budgetary constraints. We're going to have those two very, very important discussions this morning here in studio. So you definitely want to be a part of that, to hear what is happening and the things that we really, really want, out of this budget, and the things that are keeping us in a place where we can't seem to be looking as if we're moving forward. So we're going to have those conversations this morning. We also speak with Carlton Lee Tang, ASP of the TTPS, as he brings the TTPS weekly updates for us here in studio. So we do hope that you can stay with us as we go through the program this morning. And of course, we want to say thank you for those of you who are viewing us on our Facebook live stream and on our YouTube channel or on Amplier 102. Wherever you're viewing us from this morning, we say good morning and thank you so much. We do hope that you can stay with us while we have these conversations in studio this morning. But we have to go for a short break before we start. And as we go for a break, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Attention members, now is your chance to double or even triple your dividend payment with no increase in your existing loan payment. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to boost your dividends effectively. Whether you're planning a vacation or simply looking to maximize your savings, we've got you covered. Call us today at 639-8226 or 631-1336. Message us on Facebook for more information. Hurry, this offer won't last long. Bethel Credit Union, because we see you at BCU.
Are you an architect or draftsman looking to upgrade your skills, or a beginner eager to master essential tools? ReCAD Labs has the solution. Our Revit Architecture Fundamental Tobago course is designed to boost your skills and confidence. Running from October 6th to November 17th, this course includes a live session on November 17th for hands-on learning. Learn from experts in our virtual classroom and stay ahead in the world of architecture. Visit recadlabs.com to enroll now and follow us on social media for updates.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. this is your show. More, live more.
It's a different type of thing down there. Man, we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Stop. You don't have to sneak in. You don't have to sneak. Pigeon Point security, we have access pass. You don't have to sneak in.
What access pass is that?
The new Pigeon Point Breaking Beach access card. With this card, you can get free access to Pigeon Point, a free umbrella, and a free chair. So make sure you get your Pigeon Point access card.
I can get that?
Definitely. This is your access card, so you can now go into Pigeon Point.
Okay. Guys, we outside in Pigeon Point, sun and we enjoying it with we access cards. All social media links to Youth Voice and Pigeon Point would be tagged, and stay tuned for it.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. I am Adana Kumbi, and we begin conversations this morning. We speak with Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy. And as we know, it's budget day today in Trinidad and Tobago, and there are so many things we need to speak about where our finances are concerned and our relationship with central government and how things happen there. For those of us who aren't really sure as to how the transfer of funds and the amount that we are entitled. So we're going to have those conversations this morning. And so we do hope that you could stay with us throughout the entire conversation. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Adana. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago and the wider world that is listening on the program.
Right. And it's my first time interviewing you as the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy. So I must say congratulations to you there as well.
Thank you.
And we're going to get straight into it. It's budget day.
Yes.
Right. It's your first time sitting as Secretary of Finance where there's a budget. I know the previous Secretary of Finance, who is the Chief Secretary, he presented his budget, request just before you took office. And so that is already set. And we're hoping that we can get the things we've asked for from central government. That has never been the case. We never got, 100% of the things we've asked for. And so we know there's always been a challenge where that is concerned. And so when the shortfall comes, we try to find ways now. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? And we have to tighten our belts.
Yes.
For lack of a better term, and of course try to figure out how do we manage what we have. It always is a challenge. Every administration would say the same thing. It doesn't matter who, if they are the same party, it doesn't matter. Once they are sitting there, we never get what is what we request. Mm-hmm. And so I want us to go through what is the legal amount that Tobago can get from the entire 100% budgets.
All right, so I don't know if you're aware, we had something called a Dispute Resolution Commission. It's a it's something that is triggered by the THA. The THA Act says that we can trigger this, and the Dispute Resolution Commission says that we could get between 4.03, which represented at the time, which was way back in 2000, the Tobago's population share of the national population, and the outer limit is 6.9%, and the 6.9% was predicated on several things. We are physically separated from Trinidad. We have a distinct entity. We have the absence of the multiplier effect, meaning if the government takes a loan, it doesn't necessarily mean that Tobago will benefit from any loans or any grants that they get from multilateral agencies. It's because we are absent from Trinidad, so we cannot practically benefit from educational opportunities, career opportunities. So the outer limit took those things into consideration. But now in 2024, our population size is close to 70,000, and the percentage of the national population is about 5.1%. So we are asking the government to give us about 5.1%. That's the least we'll be asking for. But in this budget, we want 5.8. But at least 5.1% so that it can be equitable and fair to Tobagonians as a percentage of the national pie.
And you know, the thing is, right, all of these things are put into consideration when you present a budget and when you make a request, hoping for the best. Knowing, I don't know if I could use the term knowing, that the possibility exists. Let's say the possibility exists that you're not going to get what you ask for. And how is that managed mentally? Preparing to manage that, the fact that you will not get, because we know it's going to happen, you will not get what you've asked for. How do you prepare yourselves? You talk to your staff, you know, all the persons who are involved in managing your finances. Listen, we're asking for this, but let's kind of manage our expectations. How do you control that and manage what is given to you when it comes?
So practically, what we do is scenarios. So we have read a budget that predicated the budget on about $3.8 billion. We want $3.8 billion, which represents 5.8% of the national pie, to take Tobago forward. We are unlocking Tobago's development potential with about $3.8 billion. We have done scenarios up to last night. My advisor and I, we looked at scenarios. All right, if we don't get this, what is the next strategy? And in the budget, you will read about strategic selectivity. It's an institutional strategy where we will look at high impact programs and projects. And these are the ones that we will focus on so that Tobago could get the bang for the buck. We have already looked at what our priorities are on a macro level, and this is the strategy that we've been employing. Also, we have over the years had what you call retreats, where all secretaries, we will go aside and plan based on the resources available. But the strategy this year, we want to look at high impact, we want to look at pace, we want to look at the scope, we want to look at the scale of the projects, as well as the available resources. And that is the strategy we will use going forward for fiscal 2024, later today when we understand what we will get. And I'm hoping that the minister will do the right, just and fair thing and give Tobago a minimum of 5%.
And you know, as you introduced the minister in the conversation, I know quite recently you met with him and had conversations about things relating to Tobago. Of course, your primary goal as the Secretary of Finance is to ensure that we have the finances that we need to embark on the projects that you have presented for the development of the island of Tobago. And we got some reports of part of what the conversation said. And I want to play a small clip to remind our viewers of that conversation, but I also want to talk about all the other things that you spoke about, because I feel as if there are things we need to know as well as a population here on the island of Tobago. Producer and director, could you please play for me that clip that we heard in the House just last week at the sit-in?
I want to bring to your attention another issue. And this issue doesn't have to do with parliamentary appropriation, but it has to do with a scenario where another disaster occurred in Tobago. You all remember Hurricane Beryl, Madam Presiding Officer? It visited Tobago and left trails of damages in our path. The Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility is a regional insurance mechanism designed to help Caribbean and Central American governments quickly access financial resources in the aftermath of natural disasters. It was established in 2007 to provide rapid payouts to member countries affected by major US 372,752, and I did it in TT. So in TT, I used maybe 6.8%. 6.8, sorry, dollars, sorry, the foreign. So it's $2,534,713.60 payable for Tobago as a result of peril. For Trinidad, the payout was US 56,502.30. I'm not going to calculate that in TT because it's not relevant here for us today. So I approached the minister as one of the 10 issues.
Remember, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. One of the 10 issues faced by Tobago, and I said, Minister, how can Tobago access this funding? And the minister's response was, you don't pay the premium, you ain't getting no payout. Tobago.
So we see here the conversation.
Yes.
This is something that we can all benefit from, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
And a payout was made based on what you said. There was a payout, one for Trinidad, one for Tobago. Considering that Tobago, in my recollection, was more impacted by Hurricane Beryl, because this conversation is primarily about Hurricane Beryl.
And the payout will say that. The payout said that.
Right, and now here we are trying to access the funds. Now, first and foremost, this is the first time I'm hearing about these funds. I'm not sure if it was there all along. And the fact that the investigation was done and we know that there was a payout. And this is the response from the minister stating that y'all ain't pay no premium. But isn't this a national policy? Isn't the payout on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes.
It wasn't the payout made for Trinidad, you get your piece,
Yes.
Tobago, you get yours. So I'm trying to figure out now, what is the position? Why are we not going to get what is rightfully ours, because it was paid out to Tobago?
Yes.
Whatever the arrangement is in terms of making the premium payments, I will leave that to you guys to figure that out. But the payout was made for Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad in one instance,
Yes.
and Tobago in the next. Where do we go from here?
Adana, you just asked me if this is the first time. You're not sure if this is the first time we're accessing this kind of policy. You know, it's interesting that after the minister said that, I did my investigation to see if in the past when we had disasters, if we access this fund, and we never accessed the funding from the insurance payout. So I'll be doing my investigation, I'll be doing the fact finding as I've always done in the past to see how much is really owed to Tobago from the past.
Retroactively, that's right.
Retroactively in terms of disasters that we've had. It's 2 separate policies, one for Trinidad and one for Tobago. There are payouts specific to Tobago because payouts are not just payouts. Payouts are based on damages.
Assessment, that's right.
And assessments that are done and evaluations that are done based on what's transpired in Tobago. So I will be doing the investigation. So coming out of this, I understand that there are more requests that were made by Tobago to the central government for the CRIF. It's called the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. So we'll be doing the investigation and bringing to the fore and trying to access those funding.
And you know, I will be one of the first persons to want to find out what is happening there. How many years have we been denied? How many, disasters we've been through that we've been denied the finances to recuperate? Because the struggle is real. We've seen so many disasters happening, and the THA bears the majority of the burden.
That's right.
Having to pay out persons. I could talk about the oil spill. I could talk about so many different things. And THA is having to pull out the money. And here we are. We have a fund, a policy that was paid out to Tobago for Tobago that
Yes.
Tobago has not received in this instance, and God knows how many previously, so it really is concerning, and the people of Tobago would like to get the answers to this, and we'd like to be treated fairly. All right,
Definitely.
so I'm putting that plug in there. And you mentioned also that you had conversations on 10 issues
Yes.
with the minister. I hope all of them didn't go that way, so
No.
bring us up to speed as to.
So before we go into those issues, I want to say though that right now the Office of the Chief Secretary has bills concerning burial because we manage disasters under TEMA. We cannot pay those bills because the oil spill fund, the line item that caters for these types of expenditure, has been exhausted. There is no more funding. And you see, it really goes to show how we are being treated unfairly, because we cannot pay our liabilities. We cannot pay our bills because we're just not getting the funding that is due unto us, right? So right now we have expenditure that we cannot ideally pay. So that's why I will be pursuing the minister so that we can access this funding. The 10 issues. So I may not go into the 10 of them. All of them didn't go that way. The first issue that I brought to the minister's attention is that every year we do not get our funding in alignment with the allocation. So it means that today we will go to the House, you will hear the budget being read. You will hear what Tobago's allocation is. And then after the Standing Finance Committee, this is where we go to the Parliament. Tobago is represented by the Chief Administrator. She supports the Minister of Finance in Tobago's aspect of the budget. So we will sit and we'll go through every single line item and justify why Tobago needs $5,000, $5 million under each line item. And then after that, it goes to the point where the bill becomes an act of Parliament, right? So the act is passed. So last fiscal year, we got $2.2 billion under recurrent. They will ask if we agree with the allocation, and it becomes an act. But what has happened over the years, we have not been getting that money. So let me give you an example. In simple terms, let's say we're getting $200 passed by the Appropriation Act of Parliament, that Tobago is allocated $200. And we collect $20 here in Tobago in terms of tax and non-tax revenue. It would mean that we have to get releases from Trinidad equivalent to $180. What is happening? We are not getting the $180 in none of the years. So the first item that I spoke to the minister about is this fiscal, what our expectations are in terms of our full releases. We went down there on the 30th of August. So at that point, we were able to say, this is the revenues we are collected. This is the amount of revenues we expect to collect for the month of September. Therefore, we are expecting a check equivalent to this amount by today. So by today, we'll see if we will get that amount of funding from the ministry. The second item that I brought to the minister's attention is the oil spill at $50 million that was submitted. So there were two things. The Ministry of Finance, they supplemented the appropriation by $2.3 billion for the entire Trinidad and Tobago. But if you gave Tobago 4.35% of the national budget in October last year, it means that we should get 4.35% of the 2.3 billion. We didn't get that. We got half. We got $50 million. We were expecting to see $100 million coming to Tobago at the mid-year. We only got 50 for the oil spill. But I'll tell you what that 50 represented. When the ministry asked us for a mid-year review, we sent down the bills for the oil spill at that time, which was up to about April. But the oil spill went on from May, June, July. So what the government did is only send funding to cover from February, March, and April. So we are still outstanding for May and June. I'll say by time June, the oil spill expenditure was reduced because we had demobilized some of the activities for the oil spill. So we still need about $10 million sitting in the Office of the Chief Secretary, bills that we need to cover these expenditures. We just don't have the funds.
So would you be required to send in those bills, or are you going to do it independently? Are they saying, okay, so we received the bills from February to April. Okay, so now you can send us the bills from May to June. Or is it that you have to take that initiative and say, hey, we still have bills and we need...
So we did that. So it's two things we did.
we sent a projection because I remember at the time when the information was asked, it was about April. I think the mid-year review was included a major activity that would have taken place, and that's the cleanup of the oil, the waste. You remember the oil waste that we collected? Yes. It also included that activity. And at this point, there was a toss between if the THA will handle that or the Ministry of Energy. And that expenditure was very significant. So let's discount that. Let's take away that. But we still have the cleanup and restoration bills of our coastal areas, equivalent to about $10 million sitting in accounts waiting to be paid, but we just don't have the funds. Another thing, Adana, remember, the THA took $15 million from our contingencies account. We have no money in our contingencies right now. God forbid, if we have a disaster right now, we are in trouble. So we were depending on the government to give us the 100 million so that we can top up our contingency, as well as all these funding from the IOPC, CAF, the Development Bank of Latin America sent $200,000 US. We never accessed it. The minister said that's part of the 50 million. The oil spill occurred in Tobago, and Tobago should have had the benefit of the resources sent by these agencies.
It is very, very unfortunate how we've had to manage the income that we receive from the central government for each budget. It is always a struggle to balance things out. And hearing the conversation now in terms of how the money is dispersed, the thought process that goes into it, how do they assess and justify what Tobago gets is very, very unfortunate. And I'm hoping that a situation will happen where the relationship improves, because I feel as a Tobagonian that Tobago is separate from Trinidad where money is concerned. They look forward to what we contribute. But in terms of when is what, I'm very sorry that I have to say this morning. These are my personal views. When it comes to giving us what we deserve, even legally, is a struggle. And so when you make that request today, I'm hoping that in the House, we could get the 5.1% that we're requesting. At least the 5.1% we're requesting. All right, but for now, we have to go for a short break. Okay. All right, we go for a short break before we continue conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, we speak with Petalyn Roberts. She's the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy. It's budget day here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're talking about all things finance that affect and impact Tobago, our livelihoods, the way we live, and our development here on the island. So you want to stay with us as we continue the conversation here in studio. And as we go for a short break, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Workout on the road today. Don't tell me about workout on the road today. Don't tell me about workout on the road today.
Last year, October 2023, the island tilted. The peaceful bliss of sea, sun and sand was transcended as we took to the streets to revel in paradise.
Yeah! We love Tobago Carnival!
Tobago! It's such a nice place!
Tobago Carnival right here. We're not leaving till we go right down.
It's the greatest, it's the best, it's safe, and it's beautiful.
I love Tobago, baby. Coming back next year. Hey!
Playing pan on the streets is a magical experience. When the band strike up, is rhythm, steel and powder. This is Tobago Carnival, pan in paradise.
Tobago is the best.
Tobago Carnival is the new home
for the legend of Calypso. Where else can you get sweet Calypso music that gives you that nostalgic feeling?
Soca Titans is we title, is we monarch. We built artists from scratch who can perform with the best. Real Titans of Soca.
When last you've been to a party, plenty women looking so nice. We must be in paradise.
This year, Ritual takes on new space and dimension. Traditions will be reimagined, breaking free, and taking on new meaning on the road.
I love the energy!
This year, the revelry is bigger and better. More colors, more meaning, great packages for the masqueraders. Tobago Carnival is freedom.
This year promoting safety in all events for Tobago Carnival. This year promoting whining, not minding people business. This year promoting clean fun, security and freedom.
Freedom to be any version of yourself that you choose to be with love and safety. Here, you have permission to be you, uninhibited and free.
So what you waiting on? This year, this October 2024, experience the ritual, revel in paradise, release yourself. From the greatest little island on the planet, this
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kumbi, and we continue conversations with Petalan Roberts, the Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy. As we know, it's budget day here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we're looking forward to what part of the national pie we get here in Tobago. But before we continue with that, we want to continue talking about the conversations that you had with the Minister of Finance and the outcomes of those conversations.
Okay, because in the interest of time, as I did indicate, we had several matters that I brought to the minister's attention. I said the oil spill was one, fiscal 2024, the balance of releases that we expect. We also looked at we told the minister, we expect a minimum of 5% from fiscal 2025 budget. He asked what it was predicated on, how much revenues we expect. We said 65.8, I think it was. He said no, revenues wouldn't be that much. But it doesn't really matter to us. It matters. But what is critical for us is the percentage share. Give every Tobagonian their dollar. Right? So the population percentage Tobago versus Trinidad is about 5.1%. We expect to get 5.1%. If it's 5.1% of 60 billion, I think that is fair, reasonable, and just.
And it's also within the remit of the law.
It is within the remit of the law because the Tobago House of Assembly Act speaks to the Dispute Resolution Commission, and this is what they brought to the fore.
Good.
The liabilities of the Assembly. When in fiscal 2021, as you all know, we talk about the forensic audit and the contractors. We still owe about $450 million in those debts. But I just want to put a plug here and a caveat that the 450 is what the invoices that we have. But the process of paying these invoices that we verify the satisfactory completion of the works. So we have invoices from contractors equivalent to $450 million. Our allocation for development program is 260. So if we have a liability of 450 and we have an allocation of 260, the maths they can't maths. So we expect that the government will give us, under the development program, we have asked for $1 billion. If we get that $1 billion, we can start to liquidate, we can start to verify the works and pay as we go along. We also have we had our own internal struggles in terms of paying teachers, because teachers got their 4% increase, but the allocation for fiscal 2024 did not translate into that. So we had to find resources within to treat with the arrears for teachers and the new salaries for teachers. We're still outstanding about $11 million to teachers. And I hope that this fiscal year, we're looking forward to the budget today, we will see the difference to take care of the teachers' salaries. We have the school feeding program under education and also school security. Those are two areas under education that we are not able to fully liquidate all our liabilities or debts for those two programs, right? So we brought these things to the minister's attention, as well as the bond financing. As you know, in fiscal 2021, there was a bond that we went out. We got investors to buy these bonds, equivalent to 164 million. We have to get the bullet payment ready for fiscal 2027. Investors will be waiting for to get back their principal. We spoke to the minister about that, but I think I'll want to speak to that issue separately at another time in the interest of time. Also, what was brought to the minister's attention is the shortfall in revenues over the last 7 years. 166 million. I think this is what I read out in the House last Thursday. I went through each year from 2017 to show the shortfall. I said what the appropriation was, the checks received from central government, the revenues received, and the difference. So I did indicate to the minister, we are owed $166.4 million, and we'd like to find solutions to get that. Even if we do it over a period, if the government doesn't have the resources to give us 166 at one full payment, if we can look at some kind of systematic way over a period of time where we can get these funds.
You know, I want to plug in here on two things. One, something that you just said when we spoke about the increase for teachers, right? And so now you have to be scrambling to find a way to make these payments. When decisions are made mid-fiscal, after you've already received your allocation, the budget has been read, and this is the money you're going to get for the year to pay the bills that you have, your recurrence and your development. You have that.
Yes.
And now, okay, so we in negotiations, everybody wants an increase in salary, so do I. You know, and so the teachers, they got their increase, and so you have to pay a raise, and so you have to increase their salary.
Yes.
That money was not considered in the budgets.
Not all. So we got an increase, but all things were not considered. So it's two things you have to consider when the increase comes into effect. One, the arrears, because you remember the increase is from a specific date, and sometimes it's retroactively. So in this case, there was a retroactive payment payable to teachers, and then we have to account for what the increase is. So for instance, if there are 10 teachers getting $4, that's $400. But if you increase it by $4.40, it will mean that you have to have $440 in the budget. And that did not occur. So it means that we had to find money within, and education was in a bind this year. This year we had to find money from all other divisions. And that now stymies the operations and the work programs and even the ability to pay off the liabilities in other divisions, because we had to ensure that teachers were paid. So you really have to be juggling the resources and juggling the activities. What are we going to focus on in the year because of the shortfall in revenue and resources and revenues from the central government?
And so the monies that you had to call upon from the other divisions to assist any division, whether it's education or wherever it is, was that considered when you presented this budget to ensure that we could, because they might have been coming from projects, other initiatives that the THA would have had, and so there, as you mentioned, there would be a shortfall there. Were those considered for this budget?
Definitely, yes. So the thing is, the education has been having the conversation with the Ministry of Finance ever since. So apart from me and my team having a conversation with the ministry, education did also have their conversation, because they were able to articulate it differently from us, because they have the actual information. We would see it on a global level, we would see the shortfalls, we had to find the funding for them, but they had specific conversations. So two conversations were happening at the same time with the ministry to try to lobby to get this funding in fiscal 2024. Unfortunately, the government only gave us 50, and they didn't go back to the parliament to increase the appropriation for the THE. So we expect that they will make good in fiscal 2025. So today we will know what the issue is with regard to teachers. The other issue that I brought to the minister is IFMIS. IFMIS is the Integrated Financial Management Information System. It means that we're digitizing the operations and modernizing the accounting framework of the THE. THA was a pilot in this project from since 2018. To date, the project has gone nowhere. So we want to know, what shall we do? We didn't want to rudely just come out of the arrangement. So I went to the minister and said, what is happening with the IFMIS project? Should we go to market and digitize on our own, or should we wait on this? Because the government has spent significant sums on this project already, and we didn't want to say, let us go to waste. As a matter of fact, the staff has been trained already. We bought the resources for IFMIS because the government said since 2021 that we will go in IFMIS. Also, the cash management system of the assembly had changed. I don't know if you remember when we had all these bank accounts, we discontinued them. All the resources went into 4 main accounts. And that was to promote and to enable IFMIS to be rolled out easily in the THA. But we had some bottlenecks. I said to the minister, let us lead the Tobago arm of IFMIS rather than the Ministry of Finance. Because what is happening, Trinidad doesn't understand Tobago. Tobago is unique. I understand Tobago. You may understand Tobago differently. The staff at Finance will understand Tobago. The staff in the THA, let us lead this. Give us the resources. Give us the technical resources from the company, and let us lead our IFMIS implementation. I was very wary of going out to market for a solution because we were already trained in what Trinidad has engaged, the company that they engaged, and the solution that they would have purchased already. I really hope that this goes well, because we really need to digitize the operations for us to become more efficient. The next very major was the TTRA, the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority for Tobago. There were many issues relating to TTRA, and the minister did agree to meet subsequent to that meeting in August. So we met about 2 weeks ago, 2 Fridays ago, and we had some resolutions on that one. I hope that they hold to their word, right? The minister did agree to some of the things that we brought to the table and we proposed. He did agree. And it would mean that there would be some changes in that TTRA law as well. The staff training, our revenue officers would be trained, they would get the resources, and they would not be collecting the property taxes. So we did get headway on that issue. The interest, overdraft interest that the THA has to bear because the releases are coming to us late. The minister, after we went through and we explained why we have to incur this expenditure and what is happening with our fund account, because the fund account doesn't have the resources. Last night, my advisor and I looked at the actual resources of the THA, and you're seeing a difference between what we have on paper and what we have in the bank because of this overdraft interest. And the minister said he would consider looking at trying to alleviate and fix this problem. And the final thing was appointments to boards across Trinidad and Tobago for a Tobago representative to be on to represent Tobago on some of the boards. And those were the main issues that we discussed with the minister. And I really hope that, going forward, I will write him also. I did also draft to write him on the decisions that will may come out of those meetings, so that, there's some kind of accountability and follow-up actions by the THA.
So these conversations are very, very important. And, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you bringing out the points and the conversations that you're having, things that, the average Tobagonian might not even be aware of.
Yes.
That we have access to and a right to. And even to have a conversation about it, to make it a reality in the Tobago space. So I am hoping that the conversations will bear fruits, and that we'll be able to actualize what is supposed to be ours here on the island of Tobago. Again, I'm looking forward to the budget reading today to ensure that, we can get a fair portion. And as you mentioned earlier, the population size is increasing, and so are the demands. Yes. Our projects we have to have more development projects.
Yes.
Your purse wants to get a little bit, you want to be able to match inflation or match your needs, when you go to the supermarket and all these other places, the garage, wherever you go, you want to be able to cover those expenses comfortably. And, development for Tobago will be part of the answer to some things like that, of that nature. So I really am hoping that would happen. I'm so happy that you were able to have those conversations, that the minister committed to, responding to some of them in the very least, and we do look forward to that. We were talking about a shortfall in the finances coming, or it arriving late, or all of these things that are happening in this space. And we're hearing people talking about, well, we're not getting paid. And one of the loudest voices right now are the fishermen.
Yes.
Right? The fishermen are talking about how when we're going to get our monies, they're making all of these claims and nothing is happening. So can we just bring to light the process, where we are now, and what is the plan, the strategy to move forward in terms of assisting the fishermen?
Right. So the fishermen were represented by an organization called ATFA, All Tobago Fisherfolk Association. When the oil spill occurred, I was chief management accountant at the time, and between myself, the director of TEMA, we have an oil spill multidisciplinary committee, the chairman of that committee, and one other person, I can't remember. Oh, we have a legal person on the committee as well. We met with 6 of the major contractors that did the cleanup work. ATFA was one of them. And we said to the committee, the companies, we don't have the funding to pay you off, but we have $15 million. And what we will do, during the emergency phase of the oil spill, we will pay you all some of the funds. So of the 6 major contractors, it was ATFA, it was there's Tobago Marine Services, you have Oil Mop, Kaizen, Tiger Tanks, and Ambipa. Those were the 6 companies. We did pay them from the 15 million. We had a strategy on how we would pay. ATFA, which is the All Tobago Fisherfolk, was paid $1.1 million. So not that they weren't paid at all. We paid them from the first set of funding. But when the $50 million came, there were so many other contractors in this space that were not paid. I cannot say to you what the strategy was, because that is when I became Secretary of Finance. So I wasn't intimate with the strategy that was employed and why the All Tobago Fisherfolk wasn't paid, but they were paid out of the 15 million. So we did pay them about $1.1 million. As Secretary of Finance, my advisor and I, we spoke about it last night, about a strategy to try to assist. We may not be able to pay them off because we just don't have the resources. As I said, we need about $10 million more to settle all the oil spill bills. But we are looking at the fishermen and a way in which we can try to settle some of the liabilities that we currently have with them.
Okay, so fishermen, you heard it here this morning. You have not been neglected. They're looking into things. As you know, the belt's kind of tight right now, and we're trying to find the resources to ensure that those bills can be covered and paid in a timely manner. But please, the situation is what it is. So we have to be realistic, and we have to kind of understand. I'm happy that the air was cleared there where that is concerned. The fishermen receiving that 1.1 million and, the balance to be paid at the soonest possible time. In closing, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers this morning for them to have a better understanding as to where we are and where we're hoping to be?
Where we are, over the last 2 weeks, we have been looking at the liabilities of the Assembly, and now we have a debt management tracker, and it's something that I have employed in the Division of Finance. I intend to hire more accountants in this space because we really have a dearth of professionals in the accounting stream and in the Division of Finance to assist in the management of both the debts. And we don't have a digitized solution, so we are managing this thing manually. So we really need to bring on some accountants to assist in managing us, because we need information to make informed decisions, and that is part of one of the reasons or problems we're having in the Assembly is because we just don't have the information real time to make these decisions. We're going to manage the less, try to get more out of it. We'll squeeze, we'll look at high impact areas that would benefit all of Tobago in the budget going forward. We have already started to look at some of those areas, and there would be a recalibrated budget sometime in November, and I will also come back here and in all the various media spaces to say what the priorities of the Assembly would be based on the financial resources that the government will give us today in the fiscal package. I also want to inform the public that today is the closing of the financial year for fiscal 2024. So we are going to close off revenue collection at 10 a.m. today. So for all those persons that have to go to the Board of Inland Revenue and our cashiering systems across the assembly, we close at 10 so that we can balance. Again, we have a manual system.
That's right.
So in order to balance, and we also have to report to the Ministry of Finance or Revenue so that they can cut the check, the final check for us, to ensure that we collect all the resources according to the law, right? So in closing, I'm committed to ensuring that, Tobago, although we don't get what we want from the ministry, but we will try to manage the resources so that we will have high impact, it will be beneficial to Tobagonians. We look at it in terms of its scale, its scope, and ensure that Tobagonians get the best bang for their buck.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming this morning and clearing the air and bringing us up to speed as to where we are and what we're looking forward to. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Petal Ann Roberts, Secretary of Finance, Trade and the Economy, as we prepare for the budget reading today here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we do hope to get, just what we requested because we want Tobago to be in a better space. We have bills to pay and we want to pay them in the soonest possible time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go for a short break before we continue conversations in studio this morning. And as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
I'm so relieved Javel gave me this money. Now I could enjoy the holidays with my family and not have to worry about monies for bags, books and shoes.
Javel? Who is Javel? She could give me some money too?
Javel is the July-August vacation education loan at Bethel Credit Union. Up to $20,000 to help with all additional expenses during this July-August.
Yes, you heard right. Call the Bethel Credit Union and ask for Javel. She'll hook you up with the money to take care of all your additional expenses this holiday season. Open to new members too. Get up to $20,000 and have a worry-free holiday with Javel. Call 639-8226 or 631-1336 or message us on Facebook for more information.
Are you an architect or draftsman looking to upgrade your skills, or a beginner eager to master essential tools? ReCAD Labs has the solution. Our Revit Architecture Fundamental Tobago course is designed to boost your skills and confidence. Running from October 6th to November 17th, this course includes a live session on November 17th for hands-on learning. Learn from experts in our virtual classroom and stay ahead in the world of architecture. Visit recadlabs.com to enroll now and follow us on social media for updates.
So guys, there are some new developments in housing in Tobago. So it's goat racing time. This is 116, the show that keeps you in the know with all things Tobago House of Assembly. Each week, 116 delivers a fun and engaging overview of the latest developments, achievements, activities, and events of our dynamic assembly. So join me. Let's dive into the Tobago House of Assembly's Week in Review right here on 116.
So you should be sitting in front of your desk if you are working today, yes. But if you're still on our nation's roads, remember to drive safely to get yourself to work in good condition. We continue conversations this morning in studio, and we speak with Carlton Lee Tang, ASP of the TTPS, a new face to the island of Tobago. We're going to be talking about the TTPS updates, of course, and an introduction to his portfolio. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on the program.
Of course, a pleasure to have you here with us this morning. So we're in this space now. Welcome to Tobago, of course, and your new position here on the island of Tobago. Where do we go from here?
All right, well, I'll introduce myself. My name is Carlton Lee Tang. I'm one of the 3 assistant superintendents on the island of Tobago. My portfolio, I am the ASP Discipline, Performance Management Appraisal System, the ASP in charge of the Court and Process Unit, also the ASP in charge of training in Tobago, and the ASP in charge of the welfare of officers.
Absolutely. That's a very wide portfolio and very important as well. You know, I like the part about the discipline, you know, because people always have things to say about the TTPS. So I'm happy that there's a unit that is responsible for that as well. So now we're in the Tobago space. Again, welcome to Tobago. And so we want to know what's been happening on the island. What's happened over the past week? I know we just celebrated our Republic Day celebrations there in the Roxborough area. How did that go in terms of managing crime as it relates to Tobago?
Okay, on Tuesday the 24th was the Republic Day. There was a grand parade, which was well attended and also incident-free, because things were put in place to ensure a safe parade. So nothing untoward came about to mar the parade.
Absolutely amazing stuff. I'm happy to hear that. You know, recently in the Tobago space, we've had a lot of unrest and unease here on the island. It's not something that we're used to. And so we've been having to fight crime actively and aggressively. Can you bring us up to speed as to where we are with any of those incidents that took place over the past couple of weeks? I know you're relatively new on the island, but can you bring us up to speed or share any insight on anything, any new developments as it relates to criminal activity or any type of incidents?
Yes, well, there was a murder that took place on the island on the 21st of August. With discussions with the DPP and the Tobago Homicide Unit, the DPP, on their advice, gave instructions to charge someone for a murder. This person charged was Jay Quashi, a 23-year-old of Plymouth Road, Tobago. This murder was one where 4 persons were shot and 1 person died. The victim, Curlan Thomas, we, the TTPS, wish to express our condolences to his family. We know holding someone and arresting someone does not bring back the person to life, but we hope that it affords some comfort to the family. Someone was arrested.
Absolutely. And, you know, commendations for that as well. And we do hope to get more reports in terms of arresting and charging of individuals, because we've had quite a few in the past couple of months, and we do hope to get to a better place. Is there anything else that has happened that we might not have heard of in mainstream media or on the island of Tobago that took place that brought police concern and intervention?
There's also reports of a housebreaking and larceny in the Scarborough district. This happened on Saturday. Around 10 p.m., the proprietor would have locked and secured her business. And on awakening around 7 a.m., would have discovered items missing, cash from a cash register, 90 TT and $2 US currency. Also, assortment of goods items, the value to be ascertained, which would also bring about my trying to inform persons to secure their place, have proper locks on the doors, etc., install cameras.
And you know, we have that conversation here on set very often with members of the TTPS, of course, in advising us to secure our property. Sometimes it's so bothersome that if it's my property, then why are you on it? But we have to put ourselves in a position where we can protect ourselves against the criminal elements, because somebody would always want to be up to something, right? So that's sound advice there, and I'm hoping that, you know, residents here on the island of Tobago will take it seriously and try their best to ensure you secure your property, especially if you are in any type of business where there is cash or exchange of cash, where you operate where you ply your trade. Is there anything else you want to share with us this morning?
There's also a report of an attempted suicide in the Roxborough district, where a male 15 years of age was found by a relative hanging with a belt around his neck. I won't go into detail because of the age, and it's a minor. Sensitive in nature. Yes.
Is any type of, it's very unfortunate to hear this, to learn of this morning. From the TTPS standpoint, is there any type of counseling that is given to this, especially a minor, and also to the relatives, the people in the community? What type of relationship is happening there when something like this happens?
Yes, the TTPS reaches out to these families. They will contact social workers, victim support units, whatever is needed to assist the families in these types of matters.
All right. Well, I'm happy to hear that they will be lending that measure of support. You know, we're heading into a carnival here in Tobago. We have carnival coming up in October. What are some of the things? I'm not sure if you've had the conversation or had the opportunity to be a part of the conversation yet, because I know you just took up your appointment here on the island of Tobago. How do you feel in terms of being confident to manage the event itself and the pre-events that will lead up to carnival this year in Tobago?
Carnival discussions have been thoroughly expressed in meetings before. And I'm not part of the actual meetings, but other ASPs, Superintendent Joseph, and the new installed officers would be partaking in that discussions. However, I was here during the last carnival, because I have been in the island for a year now.
Right.
Yes. But discussions are taking place, and all things that are supposed to be done are being done. Walkabouts to ensure that all the areas are secure, that where the vans will pass, where the lines are, electric lines that are low, they are being watched and put higher so that the trucks wouldn't pull them down, to ensure the safety and security of the patrons and everyone who partakes.
Absolutely. And in closing, is there anything you want to share with our general public this morning?
Well, I'd just like to say and thank the contribution of the outgoing officers, Mr. Hazel, the ACP and Senior Sup, Mr. Cook, for their contributions to the safety and security of the island. They have done their best. And I also like to welcome the newly installed ACP, Mr. Suberu, and the Senior Sup, Mr. Eli, to the Tobago Executive, and hope that they will continue to strive in their professions.
And we hope the very same as well, and we do wish congratulations to them as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for bringing those updates to us here on the island of Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we end the morning show on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We continue on with GMT, and as we go, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Have a wonderful day.
This project represents a key step in our commitment to enhancing energy resilience, increasing renewable energy penetration, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions in Tobago. In line with the government's objective of reducing overall greenhouse gas emissions by 15% by the year 2030.
It will impact the school's identity in an enormous way because Charlottesville Methodist Primary School is the first primary school within Trinidad and Tobago where we have solar panel.
For us, this project is more than just technical work. It's a powerful statement of our commitment to renewable energy solutions, education, and preserving our beautiful island for future generations. The world is rapidly changing, and with it, our approach to energy. By installing this solar system, we reduce our carbon footprint and cultivate environmental stewardship among young minds.
And one of the key factors towards us becoming the greatest little island on the planet is us accepting our climate responsibility. And to see Charlottesville leading, I felt extremely proud.
I feel great because we are saving energy and reducing our carbon footprint on the earth, and that helps to reduce pollution.
For a very long time, we have been reliant solely on hydrocarbons. But this is a step in the right direction, a step towards diversifying our energy consumption patterns, and a step towards doing so in the most sustainable manner.
If we spread these initiatives all over this country, it means then that TNTech will no longer have to generate and depend on NGC for billions of dollars in gas that we can now have at our disposal, that we can now use to build more schools and to build more roads and to build more hospitals and to improve the living circumstances of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. Now, we know that we're in a very interesting season right now, and an even more interesting day as today we prepare to listen to the budget presentation. A lot of conversations will be happening, and a lot of conversations have been happening, and those conversations will continue throughout this evening to have that post budget discussion. So stay tuned right here till Tobago Updates as we explore all things budget, all things Tobago. Now, persons have been labeling this budget with a number of names, and we're going to get into that really soon as we have our conversation this morning. But before we even get into that, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Finance Minister Colin Imbert will deliver the national 2025 budget today ahead of next year's general elections. While pre-election budgets often include incentives, stakeholders expect this year's budget to be more cautious due to challenges in the energy sector. Prime Minister Keith Rowley has indicated that citizens will need to endure economic difficulties until 2027 due to uncertainties in energy production. However, given the financial constraints and declining energy returns, the budget may include adjustments to utility bills, such as increased electricity rates, as well as discussions on property taxes and incentives for the manufacturing sector. Additionally, associations representing the Trinidad and Tobago Protective Service hope for sufficient allocations to the Ministry of National Security in the budget today to address ongoing challenges. Since 2025, the national security budget decreased significantly but increased in 2021. TTPS Social Welfare Association head Acting ASP Gideon Dixon emphasized the need for sufficient resources for police, noting their crucial role amid rising crime. Prison Officers Association President Gerard Gordon highlighted deficiencies like outdated vehicles and deteriorating infrastructure, while Fire Officers Association President Keon Guy expressed concerns about limited equipment and inadequate PPE. Despite passing national security allocations, officers continue to face significant aid of the projected national budget for fiscal 24-25 to address historical underfunding, despite recommendations for Tobago to receive 4.03 to 6.9%. This average allocation has been just 4.3, even as its population share has grown. And that was your news in 90 seconds. As I indicated before the news, the conversation about the budget is ongoing. As you heard, even in our news stories, everything is surrounding what's happening today for that 2024-2025 fiscal budget being presented by the Finance Minister, Colin Imbert. Now, this morning, we're going to delve into a number of things, but we have heard one of Tobago's top economists, Dr. Vanes James, coming out and stating that it is extremely important for Tobago's development needs that an adequate allocation is given, i.e., as we have heard continuously, Tobago needs more money. Continuing to give Tobago the lower end of the spectrum just has not worked out in the best benefit of Tobago's overall development. And when we look at long-term sustainability of the type of development that Tobago needs, not just now, but where we're trying to go, things need to change. So this morning we're talking to Dr. Vanes James. And good morning, Dr. James, and welcome.
Good morning, Chanel. Morning, Tobago.
Good morning. Now, we have heard from all corners, all sectors, that Tobago needs more money. We have continued to get the lower end of the spectrum, and it just has not worked out in our benefit. And, from where you sit, you have also echoed this sentiment. But before we even get into that, tell us what are you expecting from this morning's budget presentation?
Nothing much, nothing new, reflecting what Dr. Rowley said, which is that the economy is in some big trouble, really. And the budget targets of last year would likely not have been met because oil prices are way down and energy prices generally are way down. And the target of $85 for oil per barrel that was set in last year's budget would not have been realized. They're somewhere near 71 now. So that would mean you can't expect any significant increase in funding other than through borrowing.
You have said on several occasions that focusing on just energy and energy production is not sustainable for Trinidad and Tobago's economy, specifically here in Tobago, based on our capacity. Having listened to what the Prime Minister had to say in regards to us having to, quote unquote, tighten our belts again until 2027, do you feel like you kind of predicted this and nobody listened?
Well, that's an arrogant way of thinking about what I say. No, I don't think of it that way. I think the citizens have a role to play and a view of how the budget should be managed. And they can't play that role because of the way we're organized. That's the most important issue. It really isn't about whether the Prime Minister expects a flat economy to 2027. It's much set up. They can't do anything about it, so they are really just bystanders on the sideline, letting the cabinet drag us down the hill. That's fundamentally what we as a citizenry have to address, and that's true in Tobago too.
Right, and now when it comes to some of the cutbacks and some of the increase in utilities that we might be seeing, persons often blame the government for these increases or cutbacks. However, from a global economic perspective, we know that usually the international funding bodies often make recommendations to the government that certain things have to change in order for them to either sustain their global financial ranking or to maintain certain funding that they have been benefiting from. Now, the average person doesn't know that. So they would be saying, okay, this PNM government and, they focus on the politics as opposed to the economics. Can you educate the population on why it's important to look at the economics as opposed to the politics when it comes to cutbacks and increases in certain taxations and utilities?
Well, in a way, the citizens are right on both counts. You have to pay attention to the politics because of the way we're organized. You put the power of the purse in the hands of the cabinet, and the cabinet gets there through a political process. So naturally, citizens would care a lot about the way the cabinet handles things because of the way we set up the government. So the cabinet alone really runs the country according to the Constitution. And so citizens are right to look at the cabinet and see how it functions. They are also right to say we need to change the whole system, and they do say that. But to the extent that we don't bother to change it, then you have to blame the cabinet for incompetent and inadequate policies to address the situation. Cabinet has to wake up and smell the coffee and say, well, okay, let's do what Dr. Rowley said last year, earlier in this year we should do, which is to change the Constitution. Okay, but on the economic front, we are all, as a collective set of citizens, responsible to run the economy properly and to drive the development of the economy. So citizens are also right to look there, and to look there through the lens of what is my role. Now, some of that role will have to be about paying your fair share in relation to utilities and what have you when things are brown, and when things are good, you get some sense of relief. But it's much more than that. And citizens know that. The citizens I talk to know it's much more than about utility prices and so on. It's about being locked into an economy that is driven primarily by the foreign exchange generated mainly through the energy sector. And they know that you have to take proper steps over time to diversify this economy and diversify our means of earning foreign exchange. And they know that we have not been doing that properly because primarily of cabinet dominance of the process. And we have not been doing almost anything sensible in Tobago, also because of executive council dominance of the process here. So citizens are right to look with deep skepticism at what is happening in the economy and to worry that they themselves do not have a proper role in shaping the economy of the future, so we don't have to get into this kind of mess that we are in.
Right, Dr. James. Now, when it comes to what Tobago expects, we have historically, as I said before, gotten that 4.03. And this year we are requesting 5.8. Are we just having wishful thinking by submitting such a request, or can we continue to be hopeful and optimistic?
It's not wishful thinking as much as it is irresponsible government. First of all, the 4.03% is perhaps a minimum that is too low now because of the population growth that's been said to have occurred. When we set the 4.03% as a minimum, as a floor in the Dispute Resolution Commission work of 1997 to 2000, what that was about is that 4.03% was the share of the Tobago population, as we had the data to show, in the national population, and each citizen has to be treated fairly on the recurrent budget. So the 4.03% reflects the allocations on the recurrent budget that is required to treat each citizen equally. Now, on the development budget, now, first of all, to the extent that the population share has changed, it would be the responsibility of the THA to pick a dispute, suggest that the minimum share has changed, and do the political work required, as we did for the first Dispute Resolution Commission, do the political work required to rekindle the interest in upgrading that share. And that means persuading the population in Trinidad and persuading the central government, persuading the cabinet especially, because of the way the law is written, to pay attention to the facts that you are adducing. Now, this current government has not been very responsible in doing that. You can't snipe for that. You have to lay a proper dispute following the law and follow the process of the law. Besides, because there are mechanisms that will allow the Dispute Resolution Commission to be called to reset the minimum. Now, on the front of the maximum, that was set against the development requirements. Now, we've learned a lot since we did that commission report. One of the things we have learned is that you have to settle the boundaries of Tobago properly. This government has done very little. The existing THA has done very little to deal with this matter of the boundaries of Tobago, because it talks about the boundaries as if the matter that Tobago must address is its share of the hydrocarbon resources north of Tobago. That was not the thinking we had in the Dispute Resolution Commission work. And it's not the thinking that is appropriate today. What is relevant is a fair share of the national budget, wherever the budget comes from. Meaning, some of the revenues will come from the energy work north of Tobago, but Tobago is not asking for a fair share of that. What Tobago is saying is, what Tobago ought to be saying is, let those resources be used as they are being used now to develop the energy sector in Trinidad. But whenever we put together a budget, Tobago needs a fair share of the development resources. We couldn't do that in the 1999 dispute resolution work because we didn't have proper boundaries. When you calculate the numbers on the 6 Mile boundary, Tobago would be way below the share of the recurrent budget. So I didn't recommend that then. now we could revisit the boundaries and settle the issue properly, put a proper formula in the Constitution. This government has not done anything to prosecute that on the grounds that it's not its responsibility, it's not its business and stuff like that. But it is the business of the people of Tobago and the nation to provide proper development resources for Tobago to pursue its share of the work to diversify the national economy.
All right, Dr. James, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to return with much more of this conversation on what you expect and what Tobagonians may expect from this morning's budget presentation. See you soon.
I say, thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
I'ma play some tune like this.
Don't worry, my wife will fuck it up. Make me happy whenever you fuck it. So me play very hard, fiesta, fun,
This one is for the people and them who don't care what nobody else have to say about them.
Them none of cash, broke what you have, what you know about.
It's too early for that.
Too early, good all. They do but enough 99. Girl, go the club, girl, right. Nice.
Who's the one friend can drink all the alcohol no matter what?
Put a bottle and spoon and a cup in my hand and a winding up on me man.
Dream.
Hey, the biggest and sexy.
Now here what's going on. You see this section? It makes me feel to move. You know why? It's called Pina Colada. I like Pina Colada.
Oh. For angels to get them pray for, they really need it too. When you play with
oh my goodness, and as the name says, it is as creamy as it's sweet.
You never wanna leave, cause the drinks them running for throw. Cause I really feel a vibe every time you set it right down and up and like this, man, it's nothing like this, not you be like you. For angel, me say something and nobody like you. And every single time we touch, you know I never stop.
This is Pina Colada, something nice with a little bit of spice, and of course, not once, but we're gonna do it twice.
Cruise, make the border.
We are on the road with Pina Colada. Boom, boom.
Oh yeah! I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Embark on an adventure to the greatest little island on the planet. Tobago invites you to ritual, revelry, and release.
Whining in the Bago sun, having Bago fun, and Bago drinking rum. We go jump up and carry on.
From October 25th to the 27th, 2024, experience the energetic vibe, the vibrant colors, and the unforgettable spirit of the Tobago Carnival.
Down here in Tobago. In Tobago.
Whether you're tripping down the road or marveling at the beauty and creativity of our artisans, Tobago Carnival is an adventure.
I said I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait for Carnival to come. So I call all my friends, making my plans for the Tobago Carnival fun.
Join us for ritual, revelry, and release. Tobago Carnival 2024, where every moment is memorable.
I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. This morning we are chatting all things budget as we prepare to listen to the 2024-2025 fiscal budget that's going to be broadcast this morning out of the Parliament and presented by the Minister of Finance, Mr. Colin Imbut. This morning we are chatting with Dr. Vanessa James and we are talking all things that can be expected. Now, Dr. James, we've heard the TTPS requesting, not just the TTPS, but even all the armed services, all the security services requesting more. Now, it seems as though everybody wants more from this budget. But online, there have been a number of names attributed to this budget. On Twitter, we hear persons calling this the wish list budget. We hear persons calling this one the PNM campaign budget, and a number of other names. But it's difficult to say this is a campaigning budget if there are a number of cutbacks and increases. Tell us about how would you, well, we have to listen to the budget first before we can ascribe a title to this budget. But in regards to the connection between this budget and the upcoming elections, what do you think needs to be done for this budget to convince the population that the current government, the PNM administration, should return to office?
Well, if you ask for my thinking as against, well, let's say I bring you what the science suggests to me as a professional economist, and what I think is the platform on which the government ought to be budgeting is the commitment is to keep the commitment made by Dr. Rowley in January to set up the government differently, so we could set up the country for success. Where we are now, it doesn't matter how much money you spent. We've had $100 and some billion of U.S. energy earnings thrown into this economy since the 1973 energy boom, and the economy has remained essentially an energy economy. And that's our fundamental challenge as a country. And the reason it has remained that way is we're doing many of the right things the wrong way, or many of the wrong things relative to what we ought to be doing. And for you to get out of that, you have to have a different kind of government. You have to have a government that is properly informed by what citizens can do, what kind of help they need, when they need it, and how, and so on, how creative we are, and all of that sort of stuff. And the way we're organized as a country, we can't know that. So to get to know that, you've got to set up the government in Tobago differently, and the government in Trinidad and Tobago differently, so that the voices of all our people can be heard. Now, so for me, if I were budgeting for the country, I'd begin there. I would keep the commitment to constitutional reform properly. I would get the opposition properly involved, get the judiciary properly involved, and so on. And I would work out a pathway to constitutional reform, and I'd fund that. That funding would be priority funding for me in a current budget. I don't expect that to be the case in this budget, because I don't think that either the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance understands what we're really talking about when we talk about serious constitutional reform, or are willing to yield power to the people in the way serious constitutional reform would require. So I don't expect the kind of budgeting from there. But once you're locked into the system of government that we have, any kind of budgeting you do that is a cabinet budget, which is essentially what we get every year and have gotten for the last 62 years, any budget that is a cabinet budget is almost sure to be the wrong kind of budget, because it doesn't reflect what the population wants. So you can't, once you're locked into the framework, you can't really tell the government what to do, because it's not you as an economist who must tell the government what to do. You know, the country has to tell the government, this is what we're doing, this is where we want to go, this is the kind of help we need, this is what we're capable of. You have to get that from the businesses, from the communities, from the universities, from all the players who could make a contribution to real development. And you are not organized to get that information at this time. So I'm not sure that we can tell the government to do anything sensible in the way given the way we are set up.
Right, and from the perspective of the Tobago government and the THA, how would you recommend, from an external standpoint, being able to maneuver a minimum budget of a possible 4.03 before an election year?
Well, same answer, Chanel. The same answer is you give Tobago 2.5 billion and you got an economic collapse. You got an economic collapse between 2021 and 2023, according to Farley's reckoning, because of the way we're set up. So that is the first thing you have to deal with. The Executive Council has no chance of driving development in Tobago. That has to be done by the people of Tobago. And good evidence of that is the approach it has to Carnival. You can't replicate the Trinidad and Tobago Carnival in Tobago and expect any development from that, because it didn't deliver any development in Trinidad and has not delivered any development anywhere else in the region where you have all of them. Events are not the basis on which you do development. It's the foundations on which you set the events, the kinds of things you're able to do in the event, but using those things to do things after the event for the rest of the year to exploit the economic gains from the event. That's not the way we're doing our Tobago Carnival, and that's an illustration of an Executive Council event rather than a Tobago people development effort. So once you're set up the way we are set up, so that you're building a budget and going after an Executive Council plan, you're dead in the water. So that's the sense in which you have to understand my fundamental point, which is that our first step is to set ourselves up properly so we can succeed. And the continuing implementation of this model of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago is a short prescription for getting nowhere. We've not gone anywhere for 62 years. And at the end of the 62 years, Tobago is today exactly where the country was back in 1962. So that's a fool's paradise we're living in. It can't work. So to get something to work, we've got to set up the reforms. That's prescription number one for Tobago and for Trinidad and Tobago. Once you get that in place, however, then you could go to Castara and ask Castara, well, what is it you're doing? Understand the Castara model and implement mechanisms to allow Castara to go for broke with the Castara model. And you do that for Charlottesville and for every other village. And that's the way you have to think of proper budgeting.
Understood.
We can't dream and wish for anything going on with this framework we're doing.
Right. But even as that might be the ideal situation, until we get there, do you recommend that in this upcoming year, the THA focuses on alternative means of funding to get those key projects done leading up to that THA/general election?
Well, in general, you can't develop a Tobago economy with government transfers. Government budgets are only a foundation for development and development financing. You have to exploit development banking to drive your development projects, your capital budgeting projects. And you have to set that development banking up in a very clever way. Know what you're trying to do in your communities, for example.
All right, well, we had a bit of a...
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
A $160 million aid package for Haiti that the PM says still won't end the war with gangs. Dominica's opposition suing government over the economic citizenship program, and the Caribbean Prime Minister is named among the world's leading environmental change makers. I'm Dawn Paris, bringing some of the big stories from across the region in this Caribbean Week in Review.
The United States is providing U.S. $160 million in new aid for troubled Haiti, but the country's interim prime minister warns the country's security forces are in need of more troop and other support and is not near winning the war against armed gangs in the capital. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced the aid on Wednesday, September 25th, at a ministerial meeting on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. The money will be spent on security as well as economic development and health projects. The pledge brings the amount of U.S. aid to the French-speaking Caribbean nation since 2021 to $1.3 billion.
We've already delivered well over $300 million to support the multinational security support mission. Armored vehicles, radios, night vision goggles, drones. Today, I can announce that we're committing an additional $160 million to support the Haitian National Police, invest in the community violence prevention, and lay the groundwork for Haiti's recovery and stability. I'm also announcing additional sanctions to promote accountability for those who seek to undermine Haiti's institutions and to terrorize its people.
The sanctions announced by Blinken are against a former member of parliament for his role in forming, supporting, and arming gangs that committed serious human rights abuse in Haiti, and a gang leader for his involvement in serious human rights abuse related to gang activity. Haiti's prime minister said the country is far from winning its battle against the gangs, although he acknowledged the progress being made by the Kenya-led international security mission, which includes troops from Jamaica.
They have not waited to be at full capacity. They felt the need and they immediately began to work with the police force to see how they can find solutions that can relieve the pain and suffering of the Haitian people. We meet every Saturday evening with the command. We've been in patrols with them. We've seen them train together. The level of commitment and the level of engagement has been extremely impressive. And you can feel even slow improvements in the streets of Port-au-Prince, but most important, you're starting to see hope again, and I think that's extremely encouraging. For the past 4 weeks, we have actually been engaging quite seriously, and we've learned quite a bit in terms of the level of resistance to expect, as well as what it would take to actually eventually restore the level of security that would allow for free and fair elections. And while there is no doubt that the level of commitment of the Haitian police right now, supported by our brothers and sisters, will prove to provide us a level of stability, we're nowhere near winning this.
The Prime Minister therefore urged more support for the country's troops and the country overall. He warned that without it, the little progress achieved so far will be lost and the human cost will be high.
What we've been seeing over the past two or 3 weeks is that as we engage in these controlled territories, the gangs flee and tend to attack us in new spots. Because the north and the southern roads are blocked, it's almost impossible for their police to intervene in time. They have to use innovative ideas and instruments and systems to be able to make sure they're able to provide the support and protection to populations that are outside the metropolitan area. I want to give you very practical examples. We have now about 166 SWAT, which is our most sophisticated elite group of police that intervene in this circumstance. They're largely overstretched. We're deploying and redeploying them. We do not have the capacity to ensure consolidation, even when we're able to be successful in operations. So this will require the added support of the rest of the mission. And the promise of about 1,500 by November is a definite must for us to continue to not just address the gang situation, but to certainly make sure that the Haitian people feel that there is consistent progress and there's reason for them to hope and wait.
Authorities in Martinique extended a curfew and imposed other restrictions as they sought to quell violent protests over the high cost of living in the French Caribbean island. Measures published on Tuesday, September 24th, included restrictions on the retail sale of fuel and explosives until at least September 30th, and the curfew that was in place since September 18th was extended to at least September 26th. Residents are to be off the streets between 9:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. Several police officers and civilians have been injured in the protests so far, while several businesses have been vandalized. The main opposition party in Dominica is taking the government to court over its controversial Citizenship by Investment CBI program that allows foreign investors to gain citizenship in exchange for investing in the country's development. President of the United Workers' Party, Lennox Linton, said at a press conference that the party has been raising concerns about the CBI for years. He said the decision to take legal action wasn't easy, but it was necessary to protect the program's integrity. Linton wants the government to disclose the details of the...
They can really do with this, or how can they use this as an avenue to, kind of speed up the development, or, just help contribute or supplement what is already happening in terms of that central government allocation?
That's a fund in name only. That's not a fund in reality. The last time they tried to allocate something for it, they put $10 million into it. You don't go get anything with $10 million. You can't. Venture capital is fundamentally private sector organized capital that looks for innovative projects on the island and says these are going to be able to make money in the light of whatever you're doing in Tobago. And so we could see how to make some money by pumping funds into that. Well, I think so. You're wasting time with the notion of venture capital in Tobago because it's talk. What you need is to start from the foundations, find out what kind of development programming you're going to be able to support, and design the capital financing mechanism for that. And that's not likely to be venture capital, I could tell you up front. It's going to have to be a different approach to financing, with enough of the contributions of government, enough of the contributions of the diaspora, as you said, foreign investors and so on. But that has to be designed appropriately. It's the kind of thing we're working on in the Eastern Caribbean today. It's not the kind of stuff that is done by angel financing dreams and what you call venture capital financing dreams. You have to set up the whole mechanism. Development financing is about paying for capital investments, and it depends on who is doing the investment and how for you to design the instruments you need for that.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. James. We really appreciate you coming in and giving us your perspective this morning. And we know that this is not the last we're going to hear of you on this budget. We may even be having this conversation tomorrow again, post-budget, but I look forward to having that discussion. It's always a pleasure, chatting with you, and I look forward to speaking to you more on the topic, right? So again, we want to thank you. We're going to take all right, we're going to take you always challenge me. I always have to be well prepared for these discussions. So I appreciate that. And so we're going to take a break here. We're going to come back with much more discussions. Thank you again, Dr. James. See you soon.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning.
Are you an architect or draftsman looking to upgrade your skills, or a beginner eager to master essential tools? ReCAD Labs has the solution. Our Revit Architecture Fundamental Tobago course is designed to boost your skills and confidence. Running from October 6th to November 17th, this course includes a live session on November 17th for hands-on learning. Learn from experts in our virtual classroom and stay ahead in the world of architecture. Visit recadlabs.com to enroll now and follow us on social media for updates.
Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supply specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, this morning we are rounding up our discussions. But before we do so, we have to say a hearty congratulations to another hard-working Tobagonian who was recently recognized on Republic Day by the President by means of the Hummingbird Medal Goal. And this morning we say congratulations to no other than Miss Arlene Allen Daniel, who is the manager and director of Rhythmic Vibrations. Good morning, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning, Tobago too.
We know that this smile that radiates this morning is one that says it's time.
Yeah.
It's time, right? Yeah. Especially where culture, arts, and even the development of the orange economy is concerned in Trinidad and Tobago. But specifically in Tobago, persons have been working in the field for years. And what persons don't understand is that although it's culture and the arts, it also serves as a foundation and a platform that has launched a number of Tobagonians internationally to do great things. So many persons have passed through Rhythmic Vibrations and a number of these organizations, and it was just the foundation for greatness, right? So even as you will recognize, it's more than a medal for you, but it's a demonstration that this type of organization and work sets the foundations for Tobago to stand out and to give Tobagonians, to give young persons, to give youth the type of platform and exposure that's needed for them to represent Tobago on a global level. So tell us about the work that you have done and some of the lives that you have touched outside of just receiving this medal, because I mean, this is just a material.
There's a material thing.
But the work.
Well, I think you have said it all, in your introduction. Yes, well, it's over 40 years, that I've really been working with young people, beginning with little children, because I have been a teacher for over 40 years. And so I have begun in the schools, in school, and I help to nurture them from there, not only educationally, but culturally, and they grow, and even when they go on, well, this is how Rhythmic Vibrations was formed after they left the primary school, Scarborough Methodist in particular. We had an outstanding choir there in 1995, which was the first choir to win the championship, Champs of Champs, the Prime Minister's Trophy, Champs of Champs. So when they went on to first one, I said, this choir is too excellent just to send off like that. And I kept them as Scarborough Methodist alumni. And it's out of that rhythmic vibrations it was formed, you know. So it's a nurturing from young and coming up and developing them into young leaders and building their confidence and everything. And they see how they have to balance their time with their school and culturally. So they have, a lot of them have grown to be professionals like Nicola Dalrymple. She's now a doctor, a medical doctor, Dr. Dalrymple, and she's a professional singer, Nikki Rimple. You know, so they have them. They were able to balance. People like Renee Alfred is another doctor, and she still performs professionally. And a lot of professionals came out of rhythmic lawyers, Akian, Duke and Avian Thomas and other professional, Diane Briggs as fire officers, and we have police, we have regiment, and they all still perform and still are tutors too in groups, you know. So they, from rhythmic, you know, we helped to maintain that culture of Tobago, pass it on, and develop positive youths.
Right. And Rhythmic is still alive today.
Yeah.
Right? You still have a number of young persons.
Yeah,
You still have
over
the
100
babes.
of them.
Rhythm
Yes.
babes.
Yeah.
Right? I know particularly because I came up in Itsy Bitsy with Auntie Annette. And so I'm aware of a number of, you know, the groups that came before us that set the foundation. You had Tapper, and
Right,
you
and
know.
we were there then.
Correct. And you are still here
I'm still here now.
now, how was that feeling for you when you got the call that you would be receiving this medal?
When I got the call, I was really humbled and surprised, and humbled with gratitude to know, oh, persons are actually looking on and are thankful and grateful for what I have been doing, because, you know, I am doing it but not looking for any reward or award or anything. It's just a passion and a love within me to work with young people. So, you know, it kind of took me back by surprise to say, hey, you know, someone really
Recognize your work.
Yeah, recognize your work.
How has it affected your family?
Well, real positively. How was the award or the...
No, yeah, you've been recognized. How did it affect your family? You know, how did they respond? You know, what was the support?
I think just as other persons who support me, they are so elated, they are grateful, they are happy for me, and they say, wow, mommy, you know, this is a major thing for the family, you know, and being there with me all the years and seeing all the hard work. And then my husband, who has been by my side, because of him, I could be this for today, because he has supported right along in assisting, if it's not with cooking for the group, transporting, and when I am out with them, he's at home doing other things, assisting, you know. So for everybody as a whole, coming together of a lot of work and this great thing in the end. So
now there are a number of young persons who have cultural groups and they're struggling for funding and support. And, you know, oftentimes you hear them say, this is a thankless job.
It is.
But
it is.
What do you have to say to that? To that?
I wonder if I can say this. Money. Thank God for my husband. He, in the marriage, he has sort of left me to do what I want with my salary. You know, and he paid the bills, and so So because of that, I was able to take Renewable along financially over the years. That is really a big thing. If you don't have that financial backing, you can't go nowhere. So it's 28 years. And it is because I was left to do what I want. He said, okay, that's your baby there, you go ahead. So I was able to prop it, keep it going financially. Yeah, finance, it is a big thing. And if you don't really have that, because you're not really getting that from the government as you should, you're not really getting that, And if you don't have that backing, you really can't go anywhere. But I have to be really grateful to the THA, because along our journey, they have assisted, especially with the trips when we left the country many times, and again, the propping from whatever I was able to assist with the young people. And it's just from my heart, love, without looking for anything, as I said. So thanks to him that I was able to do what I can do with my money. So it took Renewable along.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
We hope that you are able to live a long, healthy, and prosperous life so that you can continue the work, but also to see the fruits of your labor.
Yes. Thank you.
So may God continue to bless you and cover you and your family and your husband.
Yes.
And, may a lot more young men be inspired, by this, to allow their wives to, flourish and to do what they need to do to be who they need to be. Again, thank you so much for coming on this morning. We want to thank you. And guys, we want to thank you for being a part of this morning's discussion. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and comments, and all that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Now, stay tuned, because the budget presentation would be done very soon. And this evening, we're going to be continuing as we do our post-budget discussion. See you soon, and I hope to even see you later during that discussion. Have a great day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.